Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Modi opens a South India Natural Farming Summit in Tamil Nadu, attends centenary celebrations of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba in Andhra Pradesh. Nitish Kumar elected leader of the NDA coalition ahead of the new government formation in Bihar, set to take oath as Chief Minister for the 10th time on Thursday. President Zelensky visits Turkey in a bid to revive peace talks with Russia as Moscow carries out fresh missile and drone attacks against Ukraine. The US makes Saudi Arabia a major non-NATO ally, approves sale of F-35 jets after talks between President Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And China to stop importing seafood from Japan after Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi says Tokyo could intervene militarily in any attack on Taiwan. Prime Minister Modi will be visiting Johannesburg, South Africa from 21st to 23rd November to attend the 20th G20 Leaders Summit. This will be the fourth consecutive G20 summit held in the Global South. On the margins of the summit, the Prime Minister is expected to hold meetings with some world leaders. The Prime Minister will also be taking part in the India, Brazil, South Africa Leaders Meeting being hosted by South Africa. Prime Minister Modi on Wednesday inaugurated a three-day South India Natural Farming Conference at Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu. He said that natural farming is rooted in India's traditions and will soon make the country a global hub. The Prime Minister released the 21st installment of the PM Kisan Samman Nidhi to 90 million farmers nationwide. DD India Siddharth Bharadwaj and Tripti Tripathi report.
Climate change, erratic weather, rising chemical fertilizer use and declining soil fertility continue to challenge India's farmers. One sustainable solution lies in natural farming. In India's southern city of Coimbatore, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the three-day South India Natural Farming Summit on Wednesday, calling natural farming an idea deeply rooted in India's own traditions. Prime Minister Modi stressed that India is on its path to become a global hub for natural farming.
नेचुरल खेती हमें क्लाइमेट चेंज, मौसम में हो रहे बदलाव का सामना करने में मदद करती है। ये हमारी मिट्टी की सेहत को स्वस्थ रख सकती है और इससे लोगों को नुकसान करने वाले केमिकल से भी बचाया जा सकता है। आज का ये आयोजन इसी दिशा में एक बहुत बड़ी भूमिका निभाने जा रहा है। नेचुरल फार्मिंग के साथ हम अगर श्री अन्न, मिलेट्स की पैदावार जोड़ते हैं तो ये भी धरती मां की रक्षा में अहम भूमिका निभाते हैं।
The Indian Prime Minister added that crop diversification and natural farming together can elevate its rural economy. Prime Minister Modi underlined several initiatives taken by the government over the last 11 years, from extending Kisan credit cards to fishermen and livestock rearers, to providing annual assistance under PM Kisan. From Coimbatore, the Prime Minister also transferred the 21st installment of PM Kisan to the bank accounts of 90 million farmers across India.
केसीसी की सुविधा मिलने के बाद वो भी इसका जमकर लाभ उठा रहे हैं। बायो फर्टिलाइजर पर जीएसटी कम होने से भी किसानों को बहुत फायदा हुआ है। साथियों, अभी कुछ ही देर पहले इसी मंच से हमने देश के किसानों को पीएम किसान सम्मान निधि की अगली किस्त जारी की है। अब तक इस योजना के तहत देश के छोटे किसानों को 4 लाख करोड़ रुपए की राशि सीधे उनके बैंक खाते में भेजी जाती है.
During his visit, Prime Minister Modi also toured an exhibition on natural farming and interacted with startups, farmers and scientists. PM Modi stressed that natural farming must be strengthened with science and technology to ensure its wider adoption and impact. With Siddharth Bharadwaj, Tripti Tripaঠি's report for DD India.
A natural farming market is grabbing eyeballs at the South India Natural Farming Summit. From crops and pineapples to flowers, the models on display showcase how a wide range of produce can be grown entirely through natural methods. Siddharth Bharadwaj has more.
I am at the South India Natural Farming Summit 2025, where there are many stalls. This is a summit, which is a 3-day summit and focuses on the natural farming, eco-friendly and sustainable agriculture practices. And one of the stalls here, it's very interesting. It's Natural Farming Park.
I'm doing organic farming for last 5 years. So I have a inspired model of Subhash Bharati natural farming model as well. So I generally do vegetables and grains. So I cultivate around 15 varieties of vegetables. So this is the model which demonstrates how the natural farming is done. So we have a mulch and we have a mixed crops. There are some crops, companion crops, which helps with the nematode control. And these are all the green manuring crops. There are 20 different varieties of seeds are sown.
We can also see a QR code here. Tell us about this QR code.
So with this QR code, we can see what all the plants that are used for as a pest repellent and what all the crops that are used as a like biological border, and some of them incorporated in as a companion crop. And for example, marigold that helps with the nematode control, and also it attracts beneficial insects.
Here are some model pineapples also. Are these grown using the natural farming?
Actually, this from the 5-layer model. First layer with the coconut, and the second layer with the banana, and we have many another trees. So pineapple also growing with the naturally. So because we can completely arrest the solar light falling in the ground, so we'll get the improved fertility, and we can increase the organic carbon also. So we can reduce the water and other problem, and also the using the natural mulching, the weed also controlled. This is the Subhash Bharati method we followed for the natural farming. This natural farming market, whatever the product produced through the farmer producer company, FPOs, we can sell it into the market. So direct customer we can reach it through the digital marketing and other things.
So you've seen this natural farming park here. Natural farming is the way, and people are more and more these days inclined towards the natural farming because it maintains the health of the soil and also promotes healthier living. With camera person Sunil Kumar, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu.
In a sweet gesture while addressing the gathering on Wednesday at the South India Natural Farming Summit, Prime Minister Modi paused his speech after noticing 2 girls holding placards. The Prime Minister asked security personnel to bring the placards to him. One of the placards read, "I will graduate in a rank 2 economy. I will retire in a rank 1 economy thanks to your vision." The Prime Minister said from the stage that he would take the girls' message very seriously.
2 बालिकाएं प्ले कार्ड लेकर कब से खड़ी है, हाथ उनके थक जाएंगे. मैं सिक्योरिटी के लोगों से कहूंगा कि वो लेकर के, शायद मेरे लिए लेके आई है, वो लेकर के मुझे दे दीजिए, और आपका जो कुछ भी मैसेज होगा मैं उसको बड़ी गंभीरता से लूंगा.
Afterwards, the 2 girls spoke exclusively to DD India. Take a listen.
And in a chart, in one, we wrote about the economy. And as I'm studying 8th grade now, before I graduate, we are sure that the Indian economy will become the 2nd largest economy in India. And before I retire, the Indian economy will become the largest economy in the world. I really like PM Modi and big fan of him. And that's why we came here to meet him today. And when he mentioned us, butterflies were flying in my stomach.
Days after a thumping victory, the ruling NDA is all set to reclaim power in Bihar with the new government formation set for Thursday. A day before assuming the Chief Minister's post again, Nitish Kumar submitted his resignation on Wednesday. He is set to take the oath as Bihar Chief Minister for a record 10th time. The NDA registered a landslide victory in Bihar, winning 202 out of 243 seats, dealing a huge blow to the opposition alliance. The oath-taking ceremony of the new NDA government in Bihar will take place at the iconic Gandhi Maidan in Patna. China notified Tokyo that it will ban all imports of Japanese seafood amid an escalating diplomatic dispute between Asia's top two economies. Now, this follows Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi Sanai's remarks early this month about Taiwan, the democratically governed island claimed by China. DD India's Tanvi Taneja has more.
China will suspend imports of Japanese seafood, media in Tokyo reported on Wednesday, as a diplomatic spat sparked by Japan's comments about Taiwan deepens. According to Japanese public broadcaster NHK, China explained the move as necessary to monitor treated wastewater being released from the stricken Fukushima nuclear power plant. The deepening rift between Japan and China was triggered by the new Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi suggesting on November 7th that Tokyo would intervene militarily in any attack on Taiwan. China, which claims Taiwan as part of its territory, reacted furiously. China's foreign ministry official Liu Jinsong met with his Japanese counterpart Masaki Kanai in Beijing on Tuesday to tame tensions, but not much was achieved in the meeting. Beijing demanded Takaichi to retract her remarks, though Tokyo said they are in line with the government's position. Japan on Wednesday also lodged a complaint against China over viral social media videos that allegedly misrepresented this diplomatic meeting.
While the government refrains from commenting on the specifics of Chinese media coverage, we have lodged complaints against the Chinese side regarding the press arrangements being made without proper coordination with Japan.
The travel advisories issued by both countries are causing more trouble. China urged its citizens to avoid traveling to Japan last week. Japan has now warned its citizens in China to step up safety precautions and avoid crowded places. Tokyo-based tour operator East Japan International Travel Service had lost 80% of its bookings for the remainder of the year within days of China's travel boycott for Japan.
So, first of all, this is a huge loss for us. Additionally, our fixed monthly expenses are about 10 million yen. If this lasts for 1 or 2 months, we can manage. But if the situation continues to worsen, it will obviously have a major impact on our businesses, operations and management.
Meanwhile, residents in Beijing were quick to downplay its significance and called it mere politics.
I actually often go abroad. I mean, for example, in January this year, I took my child to Japan, and I think from the perspective of people-to-people exchanges and cultural aspects, there is no impact. I think politics is politics, and without a doubt, for us as Chinese citizens, having political correctness is a very important part of our patriotism.
Of course, stand together with our country. But when it comes to our own things like hobbies, it's another thing. We will still go to purchase products, etc.
The dispute could deal a blow to Japan's economy. Chinese form the largest number of all tourists to Japan, accounting for nearly a quarter. Tourism-related stocks in Japan plunged on the news. That's not all. China has also suspended the screenings of upcoming Japanese films, and Japanese celebrities popular there have tried to preempt any potential backlash. But a protracted crisis at a time of already strained ties could be devastating for both Beijing and Tokyo. Tanvi Taneja for DD India.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. India opens 2 new consulates in Russia. The National Investigation Agency arrests wanted criminal following his deportation from the US. And Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal visits Defence Pavilion at New Delhi Trade Fair.
India did not agree that Hindus and Muslims could not live together. This was a birth of a country or two countries, but it was a birth that was also an abortion, because you were literally killing this country that was being born at that point. Every time a Muslim came to prominence in India, President of India, Chief Justice of India, cricket captains, whatever, it was a standing rebuke of the very Pakistani idea. If a Muslim could achieve all this in India, then why did Pakistan need to be created?
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Escalating tensions across Eastern Europe have triggered a series of military strikes, diplomatic moves and security alerts. From fresh attacks in Ukraine to Russia's missile interceptions and from British warnings to Polish countermeasures, developments are unfolding rapidly. DD India's Soumyaraj Dwivedi has more.
Tensions between Russia and Ukraine escalated overnight as fresh strikes, power cuts and military responses rippled across the region. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Wednesday that a Russian attack in Ternopil in western Ukraine killed 25 people and wounded dozens. In Kharkiv, 32 people were injured as large fires erupted, while explosions were also reported in Lviv. Authorities imposed emergency power cuts across several regions in response to the widespread damage. In response, Russia said air defenses shot down 4 US-made Attack-MS missiles fired by Ukraine at Voronezh, with falling debris damaging several buildings. Moscow claimed to have carried out retaliatory strikes on the Ukrainian launch sites. Meanwhile, a US delegation led by Army Secretary Dan Driscoll arrived in Kiev on Wednesday on a fact-finding mission to meet officials and assess the situation. Meanwhile, President Zelensky reached Turkey in an effort to revive talks with Russia on ending the conflict. He will hold discussions in Ankara before meeting US Army officials in Kiev on Thursday as part of a new diplomatic push. The Kremlin, however, said it would not be sending representatives to Turkey. British Defence Minister John Healey on Wednesday warned that military options are prepared should the Russian spy ship Yantar pose a threat after the vessel reportedly directed lasers at British pilots monitoring its movement.
I have changed the Navy's rules of engagement so that we can follow more closely, monitor more closely the activities of the Yantar when it's in our wider waters. We have military options ready should the Yantar change course.
Meanwhile, Poland says it will respond in the coming days to a railway explosion it blames on 2 Ukrainians allegedly working with Russia to spread chaos. Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski said Poland will withdraw consent for the functioning of Russia's last operating consulate in Gdansk.
As the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I've already taken the decision, which will be officially communicated to the Russian authorities today or tomorrow, to close down their last consulate in Poland, in Gdańsk. We will also put further restrictions on the movements of Russian diplomats in Poland, but this will not be the end.
As tensions escalate on multiple fronts, both regional and global, countries are stepping up diplomatic and military responses. The coming days may prove critical in determining whether confrontation deepens or dialogue gains ground. Soumyaraj Dwivedi's report for DD India.
In a major push for transparency, the US Congress has approved the Epstein Files Transparency Bill, compelling the full public release of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. The Senate cleared the bill by unanimous consent after an overwhelming 427 to 1 vote in the House of Representatives. The move follows President Trump's sudden reversal after months of resistance as pressure mounted from lawmakers, survivors and the public demanding full disclosure. DD India's Nishoy Roy reports.
In a landmark move driven by overwhelming public pressure, the US Congress has cleared legislation compelling the full release of Justice Department files on the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, a decision that now awaits President Donald Trump's signature after months of political resistance. The US Senate on Tuesday approved the Epstein files transparency bill by unanimous consent, advancing it without a formal roll call vote.
Well, Mr. President, Donald Trump has tried to cover up for Jeffrey Epstein long enough. It's time that the Senate finish the job to finally compel the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. A few hours ago, the House of Representatives passed their Epstein bill with as lopsided as a vote as you can get, 427 to 1. It's now the Senate's turn.
This came just hours after the House of Representatives overwhelmingly passed the bill in a 427 to 1 vote.
I want every woman to know, every Epstein survivor to know, every woman across the country who is a survivor, who is a victim of assault, that today we see you. And this fight and this vote tonight, I see it is about the Epstein victims, but it's about much more than the Epstein victims. This is about the powerless, taking power away from the very powerful. This is about giving women who never had a voice, giving a voice to the voiceless.
On the Senate floor, Democratic leader Chuck Schumer accused President Trump of having tried to cover up for Jeffrey Epstein long enough. He emphasized that the push was not partisan, but a direct response to intense nationwide demand for transparency.
This isn't about Democrats versus Republicans or about Congress versus the president. This is about giving the American people the transparency they've been crying for. This is about holding accountable all the people in Jeffrey Epstein's circle who raped, groomed, targeted, and enabled the abuse of hundreds of girls for years and years. The American people have waited long enough. Jeffrey Epstein's victims have waited long enough. Let the truth come out. Let transparency reign.
The decisive bipartisan action underscored the growing pressure on both lawmakers and the Trump administration. Under the legislation, the Justice Department will now have 30 days to release all files connected to Epstein and his associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. The bill now heads to the White House, setting the stage for one of the most significant forced transparency measures in recent US political history. Nishoy Roy's report for DD India.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar inaugurated 2 new Indian consulates at Yekaterinburg and Kazan in Russia, marking a significant step towards strengthening the bilateral relations. The inauguration ceremony was attended by Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Andrei Rudenko, India's Ambassador Vinay Kumar, and officials from the Sverdlovsk and Tatarstan regions of Russia. Speaking at the event, Minister Jaishankar said that the opening of consulates will strengthen technological, scientific, economic and trade collaborations between India and Russia.
The opening of the consulate will give impetus to enable and to strengthen the technological, scientific, economic and trade collaboration between Indian and Russian industries. Kazan is one of the most visited cities in Russia. I've had the pleasure of going there myself, after Moscow and St. Petersburg, and with good reason. The region is a multicultural and multi-ethnic hub and acts as a bridge between Russia and the rest of Asia. The consulate will help strengthen people-to-people ties by encouraging cross-cultural exchanges and high-tech participation. Kazan is well known for its oil production and refining, for fertilizers, automobiles, defense manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and electrical equipment. I'm confident that with the opening of the 2 new consulates, there will be a further strengthening of India-Russia ties, and this will surely mark a new phase in our relationship.
The minister met with members of the Indian community. He appreciated the warmth and support of the diaspora. India will host the 7th National Security Advisor level meeting of the Colombo Security Conclave in New Delhi on Thursday. Bangladesh's NSA met with his Indian counterpart Ajit Doval in New Delhi on Wednesday. The two-day conclave, which will be chaired by India's NSA Ajit Doval, aims to boost India's role as a security provider in the Indian Ocean region. The focus would be on maritime security, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, counter-terrorism, cyber and blue economy. Its member countries are India, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, Mauritius and Bangladesh, with Seychelles as an observer. The conclave, established to enhance maritime security, counter-terrorism cooperation and the capacity to address international threats, facilitates the exchange of intelligence, joint policy coordination and capability development among member countries. Australia's Foreign Minister, Senator Penny Wong, received a warm welcome in New Delhi on Wednesday as she arrived to co-chair the 16th Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue with India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. The high-level meeting marks a significant step in advancing the India-Australia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. A high-level Afghan delegation is in New Delhi, led by the country's Minister of Industry and Commerce, Alhaj Nuruddin Azizi. The visit comes as part of a 5-day official trip aimed at boosting bilateral trade and investment ties between Afghanistan and India. On Wednesday, Minister Azizi toured the India International Trade Fair, where he visited several stalls, including those set up by Afghan exhibitors. The Afghan stalls showcased a range of local products, highlighting opportunities for business collaboration and cultural exchange. The visit underscores Afghanistan's push to deepen economic ties with India, as both nations look to enhance trade cooperation and investment opportunities in the region. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal on Wednesday visited the Defence Pavilion at the International Trade Fair in New Delhi. Minister Goyal said that the country is moving towards self-reliance in defence sector. He congratulated Prime Minister Modi for transforming India into a defence exporter in just 10 years under his leadership. The minister urged youth to focus on innovation. The National Investigation Agency has arrested Anmol Bishnoi, a brother and close aide of jailed gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, following his deportation from the US. Absconding since 2022, Anmol is the 19th accused to be arrested in connection with the Bishnoi-led terror syndicate. He was charge-sheeted by the NIA in March 2023. Anmol, who was detained in the US in November last year, is wanted in several high-profile cases, including the murder of a Maharashtra politician, Baba Siddique, the April 2024 firing at actor Salman Khan's residence, and the killing of Punjabi singer Sidhu Moosewala. He was removed from the US on Tuesday and taken into custody upon his arrival in India. Following his deportation, Anmol was produced before a court in New Delhi. All right, now take a look at what else is making news in India. Indonesia's Semeru volcano on Java Island erupted on Wednesday, spewing ash clouds up to 2 kilometers above its peak. Authorities raised the alert level to the highest and urged residents to stay at least 2.5 kilometers away because of safety risks. An 18-carat gold toilet by artist Maurizio Catalan has fetched $12.1 million at a Sotheby's auction in New York City a year after his work Comedian, a banana taped to a wall, sold for $6.2 million. Sotheby's confirmed that the toilet was purchased by a well-known American brand. Scientists say kissing predates human romance, tracing back to 20 million years to primate ancestors. A study by the Oxford University and the Florida Institute of Technology reveals humans, chimpanzees, orangutans, and gorillas all share the habit, likely inherited from a common ancestor. Though kissing can spread disease, researchers found that its ancient roots show that it persisted despite no clear survival benefit. And still to come on DD India News Hour. An expert take on the optics and outcomes of US-Saudi Arabia talks.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. Prime Minister Modi opens a South India Natural Farming Summit in Tamil Nadu, attends centenary celebrations of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba in Andhra Pradesh. President Zelensky visits Turkey in a bid to revive peace talks with Russia as Moscow carries out fresh missile and drone strikes against Ukraine. And China to stop importing seafood from Japan after Prime Minister Takaichi Sanai says Tokyo could intervene militarily in any attack on Taiwan. At the White House, US President Donald Trump welcomed Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, underscoring the strong geopolitical priorities shared by Washington, D.C. and Riyadh. The two leaders signed landmark agreements covering arms sales and civil nuclear energy cooperation. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay brings us more.
US President Donald Trump welcomed Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the White House on Tuesday, underscoring the geopolitical priorities shared by both nations. The visit also highlighted how the United States and other global powers have moved past the controversy surrounding the 2018 killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that.
The two leaders also signed agreements covering arms sales and civil nuclear energy cooperation. Trump confirmed that Saudi Arabia would purchase F-35 stealth fighter jets from Lockheed Martin.
We're going to have a deal. They're going to purchase F-35s. They're buying them from Lockheed, and it's a great plane.
In a big move, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman pledged to boost Saudi investment in the United States to an ambitious $1 trillion. Trump has also announced the formal designation of Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally during a White House gala dinner with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that we're taking our military cooperation to even greater heights by formally designating Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally, which is something that is very important to them. And I'm just telling you now for the first time because I wanted to keep a little secret for tonight.
The black tie White House dinner drew high-profile guests, including Portugal's soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo and Tesla CEO Elon Musk, adding a touch of celebrity to the evening's diplomatic discussions. The visit marked a significant step in strengthening ties between Washington and Riyadh, blending strategic defense cooperation with ambitious economic commitments. While challenges remain, both sides signaled a clear intent to deepen their partnership, positioning the US-Saudi relationship as a cornerstone of regional stability and global investment in years ahead. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
And joining us for more on the US-Saudi Arabia talks is Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain, retired. General Hasnain is a former general officer commanding of the Indian Army's 15 Corps and 21 Corps. The 15 Corps is responsible for military operations in the Kashmir Valley, and 21 Corps is headquartered at Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh. General Hasnain today is the Chancellor of the Central University of Kashmir and a member of the National Disaster Management Authority. General, welcome to DD India News Hour. Now, a news report in the New York Times is headlined, "Once a Pariah, Saudi Prince resets US relations on his own terms." Does that pretty much sum up Mohammed bin Salman's talks with President Trump?
Yes, I think very much so. But more significantly, Ramesh, I think it signifies the changes in the geopolitical setup in the last 2 to 3 years. In the last 2 to 3 years, in fact, in the Biden administration, the Saudi Arabians had become more pariah in their status. But Trump came back, and now with what has happened in Gaza, you've seen Israel dominate Gaza, you've seen Iran and Israel at war with each other, subsequently the war with the various proxies. So there has been a general reset in the whole of the Middle East. Saudi Arabia obviously emerges as a very important strategic partner for the United States. All these years, you had special status, the non-NATO ally status given to several countries, such as Japan, South Korea, you had Egypt, Jordan, Qatar, Israel, but Saudi Arabia was missing out of this. Now I think that status has been gained, and that signifies actually the reset in the Middle East.
Indeed. General, could you tell us about the significance and implications of the US making Saudi Arabia a major non-NATO ally?
See, Ramesh, a major non-NATO ally is really not, it doesn't really imply a military alliance in any way. It places Saudi Arabia in a very high select group of America's closest strategic partners. I just read out the names of some of them.
Right.
Japan, South Korea, Australia, Egypt, Jordan, Israel, etc. It gives a privileged access to advanced US technologies, systems, joint training, military financing, very importantly, access to all kinds of sensitive technologies that the United States keeps developing from time to time. And interestingly, Pakistan has also had this status since 2004. In 2004, as a reward for Pakistan's contribution to the United States' efforts in the AFPAC region, Pakistan was also accorded this particular status. Although it got diluted after 2011, particularly after the finding of Osama bin Laden in Pakistan, and thereafter subsequently in later years too. But that status officially still continues to remain there. What the Saudi Arabians have actually achieved is that with the interest being taken here by the Chinese, by the Russians, and their strategic partnership virtually with Iran, what the Saudis have done is virtually balance that, offset that with this partnership with the United States.
So you are suggesting thereby that Russia, China, Iran on one hand, and we have Saudi Arabia, Israel, the US and others on the other side. Is that how you look at it?
Absolutely. This is how
Fair enough.
Virtually the north-south kind of a divide,
Indeed,
geostrategic divide is emerging in the world.
Fair enough. Now, both sides also, General, agreed on a strategic defense pact which strengthens their more than 80-year-old partnership and fortifies deterrence across the region. Now, what will this pact entail?
See, this pact will really not entail anything substantial in immediate terms.
Okay.
But I think it's a psychological boost. That's one of the most important things. It's a foreign policy psychological boost to the Saudi status as such. Besides that, the United States adds a level of deterrence to this Middle Eastern interests, which are fairly high. A lot of people imagine that ever since the discovery of energy in the United States has perhaps diluted its interests in the Middle East. That's not so. The Middle East continues to remain strategically a very important region. It's a crucible of ideologies and civilizations. It is also the crossroads of so many sea routes and land routes around the world between Europe and Asia and Africa. That region becomes a hub. In geostrategic terms, these hubs become centers of gravity, very, very important regions to take control of. The United States, by ensuring this particular agreement with Saudi Arabia, is only contributing to its own security status in the Middle East.
Fair enough. And looking at from an Indian perspective, General, how do you think New Delhi would be viewing the US-Saudi Arabia talks? Will any of these outcomes impact India?
Ramesh, not immediately, I would say.
Okay.
But the interesting aspect that one should look at is the fact that the Saudis had a strategic agreement also with Pakistan only a few months ago. And now they've had one with Pakistan, with the United States. It's not something which is very obvious that just because they've had something with Pakistan and they've had something with the United States, that this entire triangle is all ranged against India as such.
Okay.
No. Even when they signed the strategic partnership with Pakistan, a degree of assurance was given to India, behind back channel kind of talks were there which projected to India that none of this was against Indian interests as such. India's interests in the Middle East continue to remain the same. Our diaspora, almost 8 to 9 million of them there. Our remittances, $45 to $50 billion which come from there. It is basically stability which contributes to this. Our energy, the energy which comes from there.
Absolutely.
So stability is something which is very essential to Indian interests. And I think these kind of balancing strategic alliances of this kind only add to stability of this kind.
Absolutely, without doubt. Now, General, do you think these talks cement the perception that President Trump is one of the most transactional leaders in recent US history? I mean, just look at some of the outcomes of his talks with the Saudi Crown Prince. An investment pledge of $600 billion, which number has since gone up to potentially $1 trillion. Sale of US-made F-35 fighter jets to the kingdom. Civil nuclear energy cooperation and contract for US companies. Sale of semiconductors or chips. That's all it takes the Saudi Crown Prince to get President Trump to put the controversy over the 2018 killing of a journalist behind them and forge a qualitatively new relationship?
Something very interesting, yes, definitely. You may also like to recall the fact that just a few months ago, the United States also signed an agreement with Saudi Arabia for the provision of $142 billion worth of arms sales, right? It's well known that announcements of such deals always look at trillions of dollars, billions of dollars. What ultimately transpires on ground is not exactly that. Now, most estimates of the kind of signings which have happened between the United States and Saudi Arabia in the recent past seem to indicate that all that actually transpires is about $14 to $15 billion per year. This 140, 150, 180 billion dollars is actually over 10 years. So it's a contribution of over 10 to 14 billion dollars in a year.
Right.
Beyond that, it is not even physically possible for the Saudi Arabian armed forces, which are about 250,000 strong, to actually absorb all this weaponry at any time. They don't even have the human resources to be able to absorb this and be trained on it. So much of what is written, what is announced in international agreements of this kind tends to be more for psychological reasons and doesn't transpire always on ground.
Indeed. And finally, General, before we conclude our conversation, you refer to the West Asian dynamic obtaining in the region today as we speak, with Iran ranged against Saudi Arabia and Israel. Now, the Saudi side maintained that it will not make peace with Israel and sign up for the Abraham Accords until the path to a Palestinian state is agreed upon. Where does that leave Israel and how will it impact the wider region?
That's a very interesting observation and a good question, I must say. You see, we've been observing over the last 10 years a very strongly improving relationship between Saudi Arabia and Israel. That had given a tremendous strategic space to Iran to actually occupy and take the sentimental aspects of the Palestinian cause on its side. And as Iran had become essentially a main player, in fact, if you really look at it, right since 1979, when the revolution took place, this was one of the strategic intents of Iran to be seen to be the dominant Islamic force, the Shia revolution leading to the dominant Islamic force in the Middle East in competition with the Saudis. Now that's exactly, in case the Saudis go and sign up with Israel, you will find that the strategic space within the Islamic identity will all go in favor of Iran. This is not something which Saudi Arabia wants. And therefore they're treading very carefully on this. They will not just simply sign up like that, but the relationship with Israel will continue, without being on paper, will continue to be good.
All right, on that note, General, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your perspectives with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Right, moving on to some other news we're tracking here on DD India News. The Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Minority Affairs, Kiren Rijiju, spoke exclusively to DD India, where he talks about the various government initiatives taken for Hajj pilgrims. Take a listen.
तो चार्टर्ड एयरक्राफ्ट से अगर कोई सीधा सऊदी अरब जाना चाहता है, वहाँ अगर बंदोबस्त हो जाता है तो उसके लिए भी हमने छूट दिया है, मगर मेजॉरिटी हमने गरीबों के लिए, गरीब मुसलमान जीवन का अपना कमाई को खर्च करके जमा करके हज के लिए जाता है, तो ये हमारा दायित्व बनता है कि उसको कोई तकलीफ नहीं होना चाहिए और हज पूरा करके हिंदुस्तान वापस आने तक का जिम्मेदारी हमारा है.
Minister Rijiju said that Viksit Bharat is only possible when each and every community in the country contributes.
प्रधानमंत्री का विकसित भारत का सोच को पूरा करने के लिए और 2047 तक विकसित भारत बनने के लिए जो लगभग इस वक्त 25% इस देश का अल्पसंख्यक समुदाय है, उनका भी उतना ही योगदान होना चाहिए जो 75% के योगदान होगा, क्योंकि सबका योगदान से देश विकसित बनेगा.
The 15-day-long global peace prayer concluded in Thimphu, Bhutan on Wednesday. The prayers were held with the collective aspiration for peace and happiness all over the world. From 4th November, the Changli Mithang ground in Thimphu was transformed into a vast sanctuary of peace and devotion as the global peace prayer festival unfolded. Conceived by the King Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wangchuk, the festival stood as Bhutan's heartfelt contribution to a world longing for harmony. Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Vijeta Herath has said that there is significant opportunity in religious tourism between India and Sri Lanka, including Buddhist circuit and the Ramayana Trail, at an event to strengthen tourism between the two countries. The event focused on positive outcomes and successes in Madhya Pradesh tourism, as well as specific facets of using technology in promoting tourism. The event also featured virtual reality-based technology products developed by the IIT Madras that would help in taking virtual tours.
India records over 2.5 billion domestic tourist visits annually. This is the segment that Sri Lanka should aim to tap. Even if just 1% of this were to travel to Sri Lanka, it would mean around 25 million visitors, nearly 60 times the number of Indians who travel today to Sri Lanka. This alone highlights the extraordinary potential for growth in our tourism partnership.
Former Prime Minister of Nepal, KP Sharma Oli, met UML members of the dissolved House of Representatives on Wednesday. He said that the party will seek a legal remedy and stage a peaceful protest against the dissolution of the House on September 12. He expressed that a political solution should be sought through the restoration of the parliament and said that the party will move the Supreme Court demanding the restoration of the lower house. And now to news from the world of sport. Legendary tennis player Roger Federer will be inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame next year. The celebration is set for August 2026 in the US city of Newport. Federer is the first male player to win 20 Grand Slams and clinch 103 career titles before retiring in 2022. He held the world #1 ranking for a record 237 weeks straight between 2004 and 2008. Federer said that it's a tremendous honor to be inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame and to stand alongside so many of the game's great champions. To be recognized in this way by the sport and by peers is deeply humbling. The Swiss held the top spot in the ATP rankings for 310 weeks during his career and had long rivalries with Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic. The Indian Cricket Board said that Captain Shubman Gill has responded well to treatment for a neck injury, but it remains to be seen if he plays the second test against South Africa in Guwahati. Ahead of the second test starting on Saturday, the Board of Control for Cricket in India said, and I quote, Shubman has been responding well to the medical treatment provided and will travel to Guwahati with the team. He will continue to be monitored by the BCCI medical team and a decision on his participation in the second test will be taken accordingly, unquote. Gill suffered the injury on the second day of the first test in Kolkata and spent one night in hospital, taking no further part in the match, which South Africa won by 30 runs. The 56th International Film Festival of India will kickstart on 20th November with a grand opening parade. DD India's Deepika gets us exclusive report from Goa on how it is gearing up for the mega event.
The only film festival in South Asia accredited by International Federation of Film Producers Associations is all set to witness its yet another dynamic edition in Goa. Jointly organized each year by National Film Development Corporation, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India and the Entertainment Society of Goa, along with the Government of Goa, IFFI aims to bring together the world of cinema under one roof. This year will be even more special with a different and grand opening parade that will witness vibrant floats, cultural performances and a spectacular procession led by cultural troupes, production houses and the state government. Apart from that, the parade will also witness the felicitation of noted actor N. Balakrishna for his remarkable contribution to the Indian cinema. The 9-day cinematic extravaganza will feature 240 films from 81 countries. Japan remains the country of focus, whereas Spain is the partner country and Australia as the spotlight country. These are leading this year's international collaborations. Key highlights include restored classics, centenary tributes and curated global sections. Expanded Waves Film Bazaar provides a platform of creative exchange under a single roof. IFFI 2025 will also witness IFFI for seamless entertainment. The debut Cinema AI Hackathon, hosted by the Waves Film Bazaar in partnership with the National Film Development Corporation. Now, along with this, masterclasses, panels and knowledge series will also take place. The Creative Minds of Tomorrow, or the CMOT program, with 799 entries this year and 124 selected participants, represents 13 filmmaking crafts. Indian Panorama and New Horizons is also to watch out for, along with women, their debut voices and emerging talent. Interestingly, IFFI 2025 will also honor legendary actor Rajnikant for completing 50 years in cinema, marking a milestone that celebrates the closing ceremony. First ever parade with cultural floats and the participation of production houses, IFFI Creative Minds of Tomorrow Waves Film Bazaar. This and a lot more is all set to begin at the 56th edition of International Film Festival of India here in Goa. We'll keep updating you with all the latest with our special broadcast on DD India. So stay tuned with us. With camera person Senthil, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from IFFI, Goa.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News Hour. You can get the latest news on the DD India mobile app on both Android and iOS platforms. You may wish to scan the QR code that's now on the screen to download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.